Hey everyone, welcome back to Observe. Today I'm going to be introducing a semi-new segment here again on the channel, which is going to be called Mentalism 101. It's kind of an ode to the original series that I started back when I started this channel, and it's going to be centered around the tips, tricks, inside hints, so on and so forth, of the mentalism scene. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and start. As with the other new series on this channel, it's starting at the basics, the most basic you can get, so that you can actually have a reference material from point beginner to point advanced down the road. So with that in mind, we're going to be going over the ancient technique of Barnum statements. It's a technique that has been used by psychics for years and years and years and has recently been adapted into the mentalism realm, recently being a loose term. But the term was made popular by Mr. P.T. Barnum, the man who, in fact, invented the circus. Now, if you only know about P.T. Barnum from the more recent movie, The Greatest Showman, I'm afraid you're in for a little bit of a disappointment. Because P.T. Barnum was not the dashing, attractive, charismatic, fun man that you got to know in the movie. He was a little bit, what's the best way to describe him? He was about your stereotypical car salesman. In fact, his personality so much centered around this taking advantage of others kind of mindset that one of the sayings that is made popular and often attributed to him, possibly incorrectly, but very likely that it is him, is the quote that goes, "There is a sucker or fool born every minute." Like I said, though, there isn't actually any evidence that shows that he said that, but it was still his mindset, and there's a reason that that's attributed so solidly and firmly to his name. And it was this mindset that inspired what is known as the Barnum effect, or Barnum statements. During this effect, statements are used that apply to generally everyone, but they sound very, very specific in their nature. Now, with the talent of a good showman, a great showman, some might even say, you can use a Barnum statement to really rope somebody in, a fool or a sucker in using these, people that are good at the showman side of mentalism will sound like they have so much more knowledge than they honestly ever naturally should. Now, obviously, there's a lot more into it than just having a really good Barnum statement to work with. There's a lot of psychological priming and other various verbal and nonverbal techniques that you need to use in order to get the people to really grab on to the Barnum statement itself. But having a good Barnum statement is an enormous step, and honestly, maybe even an enormous first step in the right direction. So with that in mind, I'm going to present to you part of a Barnum statement written by none other than Darren Brown, the great mentalist himself. It has been written by him and tested by him, and I have written it down myself, and I've put the link over in my Patreon. So if you want to be able to have that, if you're my Patreon, you could go over there and download it for free. That also being said, though, I highly encourage you to get the entire book. I got it from Tricks of the Mind by Darren Brown. And this book, it's 340 or something odd pages, and it's just packed full of really, really good information for those of you who are interested in going down the career path of a magician, or more specifically, a mentalist. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and read to you some of this actual statement. Now, something that's important to keep in mind during this statement is to try to have the mindset of somebody who is actually really searching after truth or psychological connection with a person. So if you're entering it into that mindset, and this is something that psychics will say, is that your spirit has to be right, you have to be in line, blah, 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 all those things. If you approach it that way, and imagine how somebody who is approaching it that way, not with the mind of a skeptic, but the mind of somebody who wants it to be true, you can hear how this Barnum statement, it just sounds really spot on. But if you're approaching it skeptically, then it's not going to sound as spot on, and you're going to be able to spot the issues with it, because that's what skepticism does, is it will lighten the areas that are meant to be just glazed over. So, let's go. You are a person prone to bouts of real self-examination. This is in sharp contrast to a striking ability you have developed to appear socially very engaged, even the life and soul of a party, but in a way that only convinces others. You are all too aware of it being a facade. This means that you will often be at a gathering and find yourself playing a part. While on the one hand you'll be talkative and funny, you'll be detaching yourself to the point where you will find yourself watching everything going on around you and feeling utterly unable to engage. You'll play conversations back to yourself in your head and wonder what that person really meant when he said such and such. Conversations that other people wouldn't give a second thought to. Now I'll go ahead and stop it there. But there's like another 3 pages of this statement. It's very concentrated. It's very detailed. It seems very, very, very pinpoint precise. But it's a Barnum statement, and it applies generally to most everyone. Now, part of using a Barnum statement well is being able to use something called cold reading, which I will go over in further episodes in Mentalism 101, to be able to tailor this style of Barnum statement to the specific person. So somebody who's 45 and is going through a midlife crisis isn't going to have the same social or internal struggles as somebody who is 17 and going through peer pressure in school or at work. So those are things that you need to keep in mind, but that is the first step down your road of mentalism. Beyond this, there is showmanship, there is conjuring, there is sleight of hand, there is misdirection, there is psychological manipulation, so on and so forth, all the way down this road that I hope that you're interested in going down. So I hope you do like this style of video. I hope you have been liking the new upload schedule. If you are, please hit subscribe. They'll be coming out twice a week if I can hopefully afford it. But without further ado, that's all that I've got for the day. My name is Logan, and you have been oh so awesome, as you always are, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.